Yeah.
All right, I'm Tom and I am almost famous. I have with me today George Slaughter, who is a Hollywood legend and an award-winning producer and director. And it is a true honor. Thank you so much for doing this.
Well, I'm delighted to be here in the bright sunlight on a Saturday morning. Wow, this is a thrill. This is the
January in LA.
But just don't use the word legend.
No legend.
No legend. I was a veteran for a while, then a legend, but legend sounds like it's almost over.
Oh, okay. All right.
Larry King is a legend. So now, what are you talking to people about?
Well, I wanted to talk to you about just everything you've done in the industry. How did you get started in?
How long and how much time you got? How did I get started?
Yeah, how'd you get started in the industry?
I was born in Birmingham, Alabama, and they immediately shipped me out because I announced that the only thing wrong with Birmingham is when you leave Birmingham, you're still in Alabama. Anyhow, we then moved around a lot. My mother was a concert violinist. My aunt was a concert pianist. I studied music, most of my early life.
Okay.
And I was in a piano recital and never got to the second ending, so I kept playing it over and over and over again. So my mother decided that wasn't a career for me. So anyhow,
you could have done ringtones.
Sure. Then I I studied music and football, and I failed at both. And then I came to California actually to go with a road show. I was with the St. Louis Municipal Opera. It was an outdoor theater, big outdoor, and came to California to go with a road show, got a throat infection, and I was out of work. So I got a job as a greeter at the Sapphire Room at Slauson and Crenshaw. It's on the edge of Watts.
All right.
I was a white greeter in an all-black nightclub.
You were a white greeter at an all-black
nightclub? I was a bouncer, but my wife hated that, so she said, never say that again. So I then announced that I had been an executive in charge of emergency departures. She said, still sounds like a bouncer. So anyway, through a series of misadventures, I became got a job booking the shows at Ciro's on the Sunset Strip, which is 100 years ago, but it was a very famous nightclub.
All right.
And then I also booked the shows at the Frontier Hotel in Vegas. And when Dinah Shore went to an hour show on NBC, I got a job hiring the guest stars for her show. Now that's a span of a lot of years, because when I started, there was nothing but Brontosaurus rex roaming around through glaciers. But anyhow, that's how I got into television with Dinah Shore. That's the most boring story I ever heard.
That's not boring, that's incredible.
Well, it's okay, some of it's true. Laugh-In wasn't the first thing I did. I had done specials, and I did the Dinah Shore Chevy Show series. I did the Judy Garland series. I did a series with Steve Lawrence. So I had done a lot of television and specials, and with Danny Thomas and so forth. So then I wanted to do an all-comedy show. And eventually, through a series of misadventures, I convinced NBC to let me do one show my way. They wanted me to do a show for them. I said, I'll do that if you do mine.
Okay.
So anyway, I sold them the idea of doing a completely different show. They didn't realize they'd said okay. Then when we arrived, we started doing this crazy thing.
Right.
And, they put it on after the Miss America contest because they had nothing to put in there, so it was really cannon fodder. And it was just, I found a bunch of people that I thought were funny, and at that point I was doing variety, and variety was all the same. People came in, they said hello, singer did an opening number, then introduced my guest star tonight, and they chit-chat. The guest star would do a song, then they'd sit on two stools and talk, and then they'd do a duet, and then you go to commercial. And that was variety television. And I just thought there must be something else there. So the network agreed to let me try one show my way. And when they saw it, they were mortified. They said, this is not a television show. I said, it's not a normal television show. They said, well, you have to slow it down. So I said, of course. And we took 3 minutes out and sped it up. And they didn't really even mean to air it. It aired like at 10 o'clock at night. And it didn't do much because there was nobody in the show anybody heard of. Rowan Martin did a great nightclub act, but that was it. And the rest of the cast, nobody had ever heard of them. And
there was no auditions. You just pulled these people in.
Yeah. What happened was these are people that I'd met that I wanted, so I hired them. At that point, now you have to have a big meeting and a committee, and they all vote on it and whatever. could never be done today. They'd never get through the auditions because they were not guest stars. You know, Artie Johnson doing a German.
Sure.
Judy Carn getting hit with water. Goldie Hawn running around half naked with body paint all over.
Right.
Living tattoos. And Henry Gibson doing poems, and Barbara Feldon did a horny Girl Scout mistress, and it was all crazy little things with crazy little people who had never really made it. They were they were not variety performers or stand-up comics. They were young character people. So we got it on the air, and so then they had nothing to put on opposite Lucille Ball. Lucille Ball was killing them every Monday night.
Sure.
So they agreed to put this on just till they could get something ready to put on opposite Lucy. And it went on, and then it kind of kicked.
I heard when you, maybe I have this out of context, but when you showed the executives
Yes.
the edited version,
Yes.
it was just all mishmash.
Yes.
And they're like, what the hell is this?
That's right.
And you called it Comedy Verte.
Yeah, they said
Made
this
that
is
up.
not a television show, and they said you have to. This is just crazy, and I said right. They said, but we can't air this. It's not television. I said, it's the newest thing in Europe. All over Europe, they're now doing Comedy Verte, and they said, hey Freddie, you know what Comedy Verte is? Erwin Siegelstein said, oh yeah, I made it up. How did he ever hear of it? And so they put it on, calling it Comedy Verte. Nobody'd heard of the people. And it was a totally new experience, and,
Right.
And we'd say, we'll be right back after this. We'd go to black, we'd come back up and say, see, we told you we'd be right back. And the network was spinning around saying, you can't do this. So nothing happened for about 3 weeks. And then Sammy Davis came in, and we came up with a Here Come the Judge. The next morning when the Supreme Court justices came in the room, somebody in the back of the hall said, here come the judge. And it cracked up, and they got a big laugh at the Supreme Court, which at that point was also kind of an innovation. But then it took off, and from there it never looked back. They put it on the air reluctantly because they were getting no rating at all opposite Lucy. And it went on and nothing happened. By the time we got into the Sammy Davis thing, it started to take off. And once it took off, then it was a phenomenon.
It was incredible. It had like half the entire viewing
It
public.
had a 50 share.
That's incredible.
Oh,
The Super Bowl doesn't get that.
But I mean, with those numbers, I'm arrogant now, but boy, when I was 50 years ago, with a 50 share, stop it. We did anything we wanted to. We did the first show, we did the third week, they were canceled in Seattle. The guy in Seattle said, I'm not gonna air this. So the network said, now what are you gonna do? I said, I'm gonna go up and do a salute to Seattle. So I put a crew on the plane, and the guy in Seattle said, what? I said, I'm gonna do a tribute to this guy with the taste and the class to get this trash off the air. And we were back on the air by the time we got on the plane. So it was an adventure. Could never happen today.
Let me wrap up by asking, what is it that you want to be remembered for?
This interview.
This is it.
This is it for this.
Pinnacle.
This will be it. This is as far as I can soar.
Cherry is on the top.
I want to be for being
Glad
there.
you were
For
alive
being,
to hear
I
me.
want to live to be 100. George Burns said, to get to live to be 100, you get to 99 and then you stay warm. Well, we're sitting here in the sun, so it looks like
In January.
It looks like I'm January, but do you have a towel?
Yeah, no kidding.
Do you have everybody? I'll confess to anything. Starlight, Starbright. This is a wonderful experience.
George,
All right, babe.
pleasure. Thank you very much.
And if this doesn't work, we'll do something else.
I would love that.
Did you expected a serious interview, right?
No, not at all. There's
Good.
nothing about that. Look at these are pool noodles, for God's sakes. There's nothing about this that's serious.
It looks like a dildo out of a gay bar.
That's where I got my inspiration.
Well, if you